Hi everyone, Mark from Audio Pursuit. Today I want to talk to you about the Parasound P6 Preamplifier. Now, I originally reviewed it 18 months ago on my website, but I think it's important to talk about it today because it really is an incredible preamplifier. And the unit I got in was in black. Now, you see behind me, this is the P5, the previous series. And I'll tell you more about why I'm sitting here with the P5 instead of the P6 later. Now, the exterior difference between the P5 and the P6 consists of two changes. One, they took the subwoofer level control, moved it over here, and then they added a display for volume control. And I got to tell you something, that display was a godsend to have. Because when you're reviewing, you like being able to to compare speakers. You want to have things set at the same volume, output control, and so sometimes you had to move the volume up or down depending upon the efficiency of the speakers. So that was really appreciated. Even for the average user, it was kind of nice because then they knew what level they could listen to when they were by themselves or when guests were in the house. So, it was just a very easy way to keep everybody happy. When you look at the backside of the P6 preamplifier, you get really a full complement of inputs as well as some nifty controls. So you're going to get your RCA inputs, you get an XLR input, XLR output. You have your, with your phono input, you get your ground, plus a switch between moving magnet and moving coil cartridge. Hey, that's terrific. Right there alone, for someone who likes the sound of moving coil, but really doesn't have the funds to invest in, an MC preamp to help boost things up, hey, this solves the issue right there. So really, well thought out by the Parasound engineers. The other key factors is on the back, you have your subwoofer control, as well as a crossover control. Now think about this. One, you've got where you can set where the subwoofer kicks in, the frequency level, but as well, you can cut off where you don't want your main speakers to drop any lower. And I gotta tell you, with my Totem Model 1s and my little Totem Dreamcatcher sub, boy, was that a nice revelation to have. Really, truly a great feature that you just don't see offered anyplace else that I've been able to spot. So I gotta tell you, that alone makes the Parasound P6 tremendous value. The other thing I want to talk about is when you plug in your jacks or your XLR cables, there's no give. The Parasound engineers really anchored that back vertical panel really well. And to me, that's a big deal because otherwise, over time, if you're pushing in and out, sooner or later, those things are going to give. Not so with the P6. It just holds tight. So what are the internal differences with the P6 over the previous model P5? The P6 DAC includes a better ESS Sabre chip, and where it levels itself equally, in my mind, and my listening, was with a Chord Mojo, the original Chord Mojo. Really very similar sound that I found. So it's a worthy onboard DAC, no questions asked. The other difference is in the sensitivity level of the phono section. The P5 was set at 35 dB. The P6, they raised it up to 38. Well, that 3 dB may not seem like a lot, but when you listen to some vinyl, there is a difference, and it is appreciated, very much so. It was just nice not to have to worry about much of the volume adjustment. So kudos to the Parasound engineers. Looking at the fact that they need to balance it out more with the input level on a CD. So good for them. The remote really changed just a little bit between the two. Main thing you'll feel is that still very ergonomic. The buttons are different sizes for their inputs, and the volume control is a nice step up. It doesn't overrun it up or down. I've seen, some companies, boy, it was just atrocious. You went from, not quite enough to a little bit too much. You couldn't find that sweet spot. Not with Parasound. They created a nice step ladder, as you can say, for the volume. So once again, another solid point for Parasound. As far as how this sounds, there is only one word that can describe Parasound. And really, that goes for their preamplifier, their amplifiers. It's neutral. Incredibly neutral sound. It's not overly warm. It's not cold or leaning cold. Really, it nails the dead middle about as good as any preamplifier I've heard. So their house sound is really the music, not what they've done to it. So for the engineering team, John Curl, everybody who's involved, hey, thank you. What a nice piece. The P6 really, it fleshed out things very nicely. And talk about a lack of grain, really tremendous. Just to give you an idea, I also own the vintage Adcom 565, which was a highly regarded preamp in its day, especially for those more budget conscious or kind of the mid-level pursuers of the hobby. Extremely well thought of. Compared to the P6, really, no contest. This is so much, the P6 is so much cleaner. The P5 is cleaner than the 565. And I was able to basically do side-by-side comparisons. And really, good job once again to Parasound. They just do things right. This company, I'd heard about them for years. And just, I kept wanting to get a hold of some and just never could. And boy, I was glad I did. So with music, whether you're listening to the Beatles, Ray Charles, Lady Gaga, Pink Martini, just whoever it is, various country artists, Shania Twain, or Kelly Clarkson, whoever you're going to listen to, you're going to hear them. You're not going to hear a shading of, yeah, that's them, but boy, it sounds a little different. No, it just sounds like them. And that's one of the really terrific things. Nat King Cole, his voice, I can remember listening to it with my father's 8-tracks and our 78 Ford Thunderbird when I was a teenager. He had that just so sweetly distinct tone in his voice. You hear that come through. You don't hear it being tipped or tilted. It's wonderful. You hear the accents from people from different parts of the world. That comes through because it's just that. It's not warmed up. It's not frozen. So really, I can't rave enough about how well they hit the center. Just amazing stuff. When you get into string instruments, you just listen to the violas. Something special. Or, the bass in a jazz recording. You hear that distinct tonal registry that, can disappear sometimes. No, it comes through. And same thing goes with what's in vinyl playing through, so it isn't just the DAC section that's staying quiet. No, it's the phono section. So here's the thing. With the P6, you get all the latest, all in one package. And if you're one of those people, you just want to plug in and play and you don't want to worry about stuff, But hey, sometimes you like listening to a tube amp or a Class D amp or a Class AB. This really is a terrific valued preamp in the P6. So now you're asking, well, Mark, why do you have a P5 there instead of a P6? Well, like I said in the beginning, I ordered one in black, a P6, got it in, and after about a year, I just noticed continued changes in my eyesight, and it just got harder to read the font size that they used. So I was a little bit frustrated by that. And the stupid thing was, is back when I was ordering this, I was thinking back and forth, do I want silver? Do I want black? Do I want silver? Do I want black? And at that time, I had a black amplifier, so I thought, yeah, I'm going to match things up. Okay? I know it sounds crazy, but you know, we all have our little quirks. Well, I should have grabbed the silver. So I sold the P6, and I was looking for a silver one online. I was going to buy one on the used market, and I was watching, and they weren't coming up. Well, all of a sudden one day, just by chance, a P5 popped up in silver, and it was at a ridiculous price, and I jumped on it before I could even contemplate how I was going to tell my wife. So I got the P5. Well, for someone like me who has a separate DAC, who has a separate phono preamplifier, the P5 worked for me. So that's why. But for most everybody, you're going to want the P6 because you don't want to buy extra pieces. You want to plug everything into one spot and then have a cable running down to the amplifier and be done with it. And that's where the value of the P6 comes into play. And it will pay off. So I'm going to tell you right now, give the P6 by Parasound a test drive if you're in the preamplifier market. You will be impressed by the build quality, the natural sound, and just how you can let it play the music and not worry. So what's the final score on the Parasound P6 Preamplifier? 2 incredibly good thumbs up because of its overall value. You've got the built-in DAC, you got built-in really quality phono preamp. So you plug everything in, get the amplifier or amplifiers of your choice, and just sit back and enjoy the music because it's all being taken care of. And with its build quality, you're going to have a long life. So until next time, enjoy the music. Take care.